Can you guess where I am now? So you should be breathing deeply right now. And I just want to say thank you for spending this time with me on YouTube. I hope you will think about subscribing, sharing, and if you're really excited and want to support, all the links are below. For Patreon members, we're going to do some behind the scenes, so you'll find that over on Patreon. And for those of you who want to really dig deep into how to face the challenges that are coming on in the world, Wired for Danger is the place. All those links are below. And with that, my friends, on to the topic for today. Well, it's a brand new day, and I am so glad you're here. As you saw, I'm in a different place. Now I'm in the sun. It's kind of bright, so limited places I can film. But since I'm in a new place and there's actual real people here, I wanted to talk a little bit about this idea, because I've kind of strayed away from the journal thing because I was, like you, sort of freaking out about what's going on out in the world. I feel like I'm in a safe place now, and I am reminded as I enter a new environment and new and different people, all very nice by the way, how different we are in terms of men and women, how we communicate. But one of the things I really wanted to get busy talking about on this channel was the process of what is private, what is personal, and what is public. And my experience on YouTube, because it's really the only social media that I do, has really shown me that those are vastly different things. And I think we've gotten really confused about that. And so, for me, the power of the journal is the place to really share all those private thoughts, private feelings, private ideas that might seem a little crazy out in the world, and a way to really reflect on that before I go public. But in addition, it's a buffer. It's a buffer between just blurting your stuff out everywhere to everyone on any given day of the week. And I think we're in this really interesting position or place in the world where we have lost so much of our personal communications because of, distancing rules and the ease with which this digital world has evolved, that how we conduct our personal relationships, I think, is also something that's going to undergo a radical transformation in these next few years. And one of the things I'm most excited about is how to build community in this brand new world. And so I started to think about that as I am here with new people, how I want to do that differently. And I've only been here a few days, and so I'm at this point, falling back into old patterns. And honest to God, I've had more people contact in the last 3 days than I have in the last 3 years. So I'm pooped out and overwhelmed, but it was something, to give me thought. And I have always used the journaling process as a way to get out all that private, intimate things that don't really need to be shared out in the world. And the experience of vlogging, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to conclude vlogging in these conversations, is that there's always, there seems to be a consistent misperception that people come online and share their deepest truths, and that's always real. And it's not. It's not for me, and it's not for most people. Because the real stuff I don't share. And I think that's a boundary, most of us have lost, this confusion about what's we should be putting out in the world, what we can put out in the world, and why we make decisions about what we put out in the world. And I think more than anything right now, we are in a critical position where we have to be really, really careful. And one of the reasons I always tried to kind of discourage a lot of sharing of personal, private information in the comments is that, you know, everything is building an algorithm, a personality profile, and is stored. So there is no privacy online. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, somebody that nobody knows who you are, hiding behind a, avatar. All that information is traced back to you and it's collected. And so I've never really liked that. And so there's a lot of things, you know, I hold back just because it's not about people. It's about the system, you know, accessing information. But it's just interesting to me now that I'm, you know, in a new place with new people and these ideas about, you know, how do I want to go forward in terms of building community? How do I want to interact with people? Do I want to interact with people? Because I am super pooped out. It doesn't have anything to do with others. I just don't have a lot of energy to be in the presence of a lot of people that I wanted to just share that idea because we've gotten in a position where we're really comfortable with our online relationships. And I never did Facebook, I never did those other things, but I constantly heard about people having fights and gossiping and all this stuff on Facebook. And I'm always like, why are you sharing all that information online? Because it's not private. And so part of this art of containment that I've been bringing up to you, it is so important right now because now we're talking about your personal safety. We're talking about your personal security because we're in a situation right now where things are changing so quickly out in the world. You may or may not be familiar with this whole idea of a social credit score that's coming to fruition. We've seen it implemented in other countries and they want to do that here. Everything you put out in the world is collected. Even just your random thoughts and your random ideas, things that you say out loud, because I'm sure you've all had that experience, right? Where you mention something on the phone and all of a sudden you're seeing all kinds of ads about that particular topic. The one that's creeping me out is when I'm insisting to myself, I never said that out loud. How am I seeing ads for that? But I don't want to think they're in our thoughts yet, but who knows? So this idea of containment, you know, building a containment as an art is what I've shared with you. It's privacy, it's what's personal, which usually is just kind of a one-on-one conversation you might share. And then there's what's public, when you don't really know who you're talking to or why. And one of the things that I thought about, you know, recently is how, and I've had some conversations about how actually what you say doesn't really carry a lot of weight. It's your actions that I'm looking at, not what you say. And you can't do that except through time. And so when we talk about building communities in the future, you need to be able to witness what other people do and how they react to stress and how they respond in terms of interacting with you. And, do people do what they say and say what they do? I mean, there's a lot of things that go into all this. And so it begins, though, with this very basic, simple idea of what is private, what is personal, and what is public. And so I just wanted to touch on that because that journaling process for me is how I begin the filtering of what's private. And it gives a discharge mechanism so I don't feel isolated in that idea. I get it out of my system. And that's what I talked about, with containment. It's, what's private, what's personal, what's public. But also this idea of make it private first. Do an analog version, writing it down or, having it away from the offline world before you do digital. After you write it down before you say it out loud. Read what you wrote before you take action on it as a way to kind of start to create a buffer again. I think a boundary that so many of us have lost in this world. And with everything, that's happening right now, I cannot think of anything more valuable than really developing that skill set. So just something to think about. For me, it's journaling for privacy. And then I decide what I want to make personal and what I want to make public. So no, you don't know my every deep, dark thought. Nobody does. So with that, my friends, we're going to take a deep breath, and I will see you next time. You excited about our new place? You excited about doggy friends?